morning, y'all. It's bright and early on Tuesday. Today it's just me and Coco in the car. I wanted to bring Frank to show you his new little line clip haircut. He looks so handsome, but I went back in the house to get him and he was hiding, and I didn't have time to hunt him. Isn't that right, Beans? Yeah, turn on around, girl. There you go. You'd be surprised how hard it is to carry two cats and your phone and maybe some mail and anything else whatsoever. So today it was just Coco. Went back in, got the phone and all that stuff, and Frankie boy was hiding. So it's just us this morning. Out a little earlier than normal today because at 9 o'clock I'm going to be going over to speak to the FISD, that's Fredericksburg Independent School District Leadership Group. Good morning, Heather. How are you? And I'm kind of excited about that, but I wouldn't say nervous, but it's kind of perplexing. They asked me to come and speak on leadership. So I don't know if this has ever happened to you guys. What is your superpower that you don't think is your superpower, or it doesn't occur to you? And I know you have one. I know all of you do. You may not have been asked to speak on it, or maybe you have. But have you ever had people say, you know, man, how do you cook so you bake so wonderfully? How do you do it? And you look at them and think, I just bake. It's not that big a deal, right? So I'm curious if any of you have something like that. So yeah, I'm going to be speaking on leadership. You know, I always look at them and think, am I doing anything special there? Because I think when you're good at something, it comes naturally, so it doesn't occur to you. My husband Wes is a very talented artist, so he'll look at it and be like, oh, anyone can do that. Well, no, they can't. Some people are great musicians, and they think it's not that hard, so it's not a big deal. I know some of you haven't, and I want to hear what your superpower is. That again, you're not even saying it is, but it's at least what people have told you or asked you to get advice or input on, or maybe to speak on. I'd love to hear what you have to say on that one. So I'm thinking to myself, what am I going to talk about? I'm not sure if I'm going to be talking for 5 minutes or an hour, so I kind of just made a real rough outline. And I thought what I would talk about would be, first of all, three types of leaders. Oh, you should be pulling out there. And by three types of leaders, I mean the, what were those points I had? One is like a pinball leader. Well, really the first one is a leader by design, leader by decision. So there are going to be some people, I think, in the audience who specifically went to get maybe a master's in education. Oh, wait a minute, see if you guys can hear me. I'm not sure you can. Anyway, a master's in education. They have prepared themselves for a life of leadership by the course they took. Maybe they went to get I'm sure there are degrees that lead you for higher education in the education system, if that makes sense, in order to be an administrator of schools. Then there's what I call pinball leadership, which is where, you know, you just get whacked up there by the, what do you call those little things? Whatever those things are you flip. Flippers, let's call them that. You get whacked up there and you think, oh, this is where I'm going to land, and then that's not where you land, and then it bounces you over here and you think, this is what I'm going to do, and then it bounces you over there. Yes, large black coffee, please. That's it, thank you. Okay. So I don't know if this is playing or not because it's saying low network connection. Oh, the joys of living in a small town. In any event, I'll just keep talking as if. So, you know, you kind of bounce around a little bit and maybe you end up in a position of leadership. And then, oh, just so sweet. So you have the by decision, and then you have the pinball leadership, and then you have in a vacuum leadership, which is how many out there I've heard people say, I'm not really striving to be a leader necessarily, but when no one else will step up, in a vacuum, I'll be the one that steps up and takes over the reins. I hear this a lot. People that would be just as happy to let someone else do it if someone confident and competent would step up, which does not always happen. So I think those are the three types of leadership, hello, that you see most common. And then I think three traits of a good leader would be humility, thank you, empathy, and by far my favorite thing to talk about, as you know, self-awareness. Sorry, cocoa beans. So by empathy, I mean you have to be able to put yourself in other people's shoes and relate to them in a way where you feel like you're on the same team. and you're not just judging them, but you're standing beside them and walking the course and giving the best insights you can. A lot of people, I find you should never start sentences with who or why, for the most part. Who did this? Why did you do this? Why would you? It's very accusatory by nature. And who did, or who put, or who followed by verb is usually not ever going to be a good sentence to get someone, yeah, thank you, that gets anybody on the page with you. So we don't want to do that. So empathy, humility, you've got to be willing to do the lowliest task. I think people will follow someone who is not afraid to get their hands dirty. One of my favorite stories is one time we were at the office and all this crazy hectic stuff was going on. I was getting interrupted by various things, which some were important, some were not important. But a lot of times it's hard for your staff to know what's important and what's not, so they have to bring it to you. It could be a critical emergency. And at the same time, and my daughter Celie was sitting in the chair and they're watching this. And her head's just spinning because I keep getting interrupted. Another phone call, another walk-in, something else is going on, and then they come and they go, "Oh, the toilet's overflowing." But so I immediately hop up, grab a plunger, and go in there and start working on the toilet. And she goes, "Okay, Mom, this is ridiculous. This is a zoo here, and why on earth are you getting the plunger out?" I said, "Well, who exactly's job should that be, if not mine? Who am I better than so that I don't have to occasionally grab a plunger?" And so that would be one of my theories of leadership, is be willing to grab the plunger. The last one, of course, would be self-awareness, which I was thinking about, and I said, really it's the most important trait of leadership, followership, anything ship, is self-awareness. So I started thinking, it's become a great buzzword these days, so what do I think it really means? I think it means being unemotionally aware of your strengths and weaknesses. So unemotionally aware. So you have to be able to take an inventory of what you're good at and what you're bad at and not be emotional about it. Not be tied to that result as it affects your self-esteem. I know some people that no matter what comes up, if we're in, I don't know if it's a business meeting, various contexts over the years, I've had people who no matter what gets brought up, their response is, "Oh, I know, me too, I've done that for years." And no matter what, they've already heard it, they already know it. You can't teach or tell them anything. I don't know about you guys, but you can teach me plenty. There is still a lot in this world I get wrong, and a lot of mistakes I make, a lot of things I don't know. So to me, even if you're the most brilliant human on planet Earth and literally nothing's new to you, I would find a way to at least throw in that's an interesting take on that, or I haven't thought of it from that angle. It's very tiresome to always hear, "Oh, yes, I know, yes." Because the truth is, no one knows everything. So what you did to me is you just told me you're not self-aware. Either you're a liar, or best case, you're not self-aware. You don't know what you've done. You don't know what you're good at. And what that means is not that you're a bad person, but what it means is I don't trust you anymore. I can't trust your assessment. If you can't assess your own skills, I don't know that you can assess anything. And that's a huge problem. So be very, very careful when it comes to your self-awareness. Because once you let that out of the bag, that you cannot, and it can go both ways. Some people go too far one direction by thinking they can do everything and pretending they can do everything to others and themselves. Some go the other way, and everything is, "Woe is me, I'm not good at this." My kids used to come home from school, Celie in particular, and say, "Oh, there are kids in my class who every day it's like, my art's not good." I said, and this girl knows her art is clearly the best out of all of us. She goes, and she's just fishing for compliments. So that's the worst too. So don't be in either direction, either the, "Oh, I'm the best at everything," or "Woe is me," looking around to see if someone will say something nice to you. Be self-aware, unemotionally aware of what you're good at and what you're not good at. And then work at improving the things where you need help.